Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Ayleen, and this is Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So, yeah, I hope you had a good week. I hope everything went well. And as always, I am, well, not as always, but as all the times that I can arrange it. I am in the chat room now. And so if you'd like to log into the chat room, for those of you who are watching on YouTube or on Medicine Walk, you can log into the chat room and ask any questions you like. So last week we talked about shadow, and so this week we're going to talk about light. And it may seem like that's like, oh, well, that's easy. Light is wonderful, light is happy, light is everything we want to be, and simple. Well, nothing is that simple. As far as I'm concerned, everything holds an aspect of light and shadow, and that includes light and shadow itself. Now, the idea of the necessity of the two, which I do believe that they're a necessity, is because it demonstrates our ability to choose. If we are in a situation where our only choice is light, well, then what's the point of working on gaining wisdom and the ability to discern between what our choices are, whether it's light or whether it's shadow? It's sort of like there's no virtue in ordering a salad in a restaurant that has nothing but salads. I mean, if you order a salad and there are, beautifully cooked ribs wrapped in bacon, oh God, that sounds like that would be so tasty. Anyway, but if that was your option and that was something you loved, but you ordered a salad anyway, that's where, the pat on the back comes in. Because you have the ability to choose, and you choose something that is good for you. So the idea that, we're going to, the goal is to expunge shadow from yourself so that you have no shadow. Okay, these are my opinions, and you can disagree with them, and feel free to. In my opinion, my humble opinion, first off, it will not work to try to expunge shadow, because as long as you are a divine being having a human experience, you're in one of these bodies, we will always carry shadow. So that means that if you go into this big thing of wanting to, expunge all the shadow and get all the shadow out of yourself, it's going to get frustrating, because we are human. And it's okay to have that duality, because that means we have choice. It demonstrates how wise we've become, how, grounded we've become when we're faced with the, option A or option B, and we choose light as opposed to not having a choice. And I mean, it's human nature. And I really wanted to have a talk about light, because it is, it's very subjective. People have an idea as to what is light and what is shadow, and, how that's defined. Now, it's a lot easier to figure out defining shadow. Shadow is that which leads to dissonance. It's that which, has that chaotic sort of lean to it. But the thing is, for people to identify light, well, that really depends on what someone's view of what light is. To some, light is a specific adherence to a religious practice. And if somebody is not a part of that religious practice, well, maybe they're not going to view light in the same way. Or if maybe light is, to someone else, strict adherence to a political ideology. Well, not everybody's going to follow that. Light is a lot trickier than shadow, because of the fact that one person's light may actually be to someone else an aspect of shadow. So when we talk about, what does it mean to choose light? For me, light is based in anything that moves me towards balance, that moves me towards harmony, that moves me towards resonance within myself and with the world around me. So the idea that there is that element of, well, what exactly do we mean when we say light? Ultimately, you're going to have to define that for yourself. You're going to have to figure out what it is that it means to you. You know, for me, it's that feeling of cooperation. It's that feeling of people getting along. It's a celebratory type of environment and a type of energy. You know, it's soft and it's warm, you know, as opposed to shadow, which to me has, you know, that edge to it. It has that dissonance. It's sort of like, you know, listening to music and some of the instruments are not in tune. So when you consider what is light to you, then that becomes your path. Now, maybe you find other people who have the same path. Maybe you find some other people, you know, a group that kind of believes along the lines of what you believe. And, you know, that's great. That's wonderful. You know, finding people who you can share that light aspect with. But like I said, light is based on what it is that that person envisions it as. So, how do we interact? How do we find resonance? How do we find our own light? Because this really is much, you know, it's about your light. Consider what makes you feel harmonious. What has a gentle, compassionate energy to it. You know, it's not necessarily things you like. I mean, it may be that, you know, you love, you know, I like video games. And some people would go, oh no, video games, they're a shadow aspect. And even though there really is not proof that there's any connection with that, and we're not going to go into that. But the thing is, just as an example, there are some people who would view that as, you know, just a relaxing entertainment. Others would view it as, oh no, that's a shadow aspect because of the story that gets attached to it. And that is where the heart of how you figure out what your light is by what story you're attaching to it. What is it that comes to mind? How is it that light manifests for you? And once you figure that out, then the work is, and it is work, is to remain in integrity with it. It's to remain in harmony with your aspect and your definition of light, and to hold that in the best way that you can. Now, it may be that my definition of light and your definition of light, you know, maybe they match up, maybe they don't. But a part of light, to me, is the ability to be able to find peace with someone else's light as they envision theirs. And that can be really hard because it's really easy for a group to agree that certain things are like, you know, no, that's bad. That's the badness. And it's harder to get a group of people to agree on what is a light aspect, what is something that is a positive action. I mean, and there are certain things that, you know, people can probably all be consistent with, and yet there's always going to be that dissension because we are unique creatures. So, you know, as I said, you know, something that I would consider a light aspect, somebody else might not. I mean, for me, I keep it pretty simple, and that's the best way to keep it. It's not to complicate it, because you want to keep it as simple as possible. And simply put, for me, it is that which restores balance. It's not necessarily that which, you know, tilts the scale, you know, and for one side to another, but it is what feels balanced, what feels settled, what feels grounded, you know. And I mean, for me, yeah, when I walk my dog in the morning, I walk along, and if a car goes by, I smile and I wave, like, you know, saying good morning. And, you know, I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years, and cars pass, and, you know, they come and they go, and it's, it's really cool because there have been times when people have actually pulled over, and this morning a couple pulled over, and I had never met them, they had never met me, but they said that every morning when I walk and I smile and I wave, it makes them feel good. That it's something that helps start their day off in a very good, positive way. And they wanted to pull over and thank me for that. Now, for me, that's as beautiful as light gets. A simple act that is a gesture of hoping, hey, hope you have a good day. And then to have someone respond to that, to have someone say, wow, I really appreciate that you do that because it helps my day start off nicer. I'm not sure how that could be turned into something bad, but I'm positive there's someone in the world who could make that into something bad, and and if you do, God bless you. You need to get some help or switch to decaf or something. But the idea that we have that ability to make a choice. I mean, because I could choose to just do nothing. I don't have to choose to wave. I don't have to choose to smile. I could just walk along, mind my own business, and walk my dog, and, they would go on about their day and probably wouldn't even notice me. And the fact that they felt they wanted to stop their journey and pause it long enough to acknowledge me. The fact that I had done something good that helped them feel good, and then they did something by acknowledging it, they made me feel good. So it's like, oh wow, we've got two different little pockets of feeling good here. And, to me that's what it's all about, is just doing something to help someone feel good, to make somebody's journey a little bit lighter. People ask about, well, what's the purpose in life? And once again, I go simple. Serve my vision of creator the best way I can. Learn as much as I possibly can, and make a few people laugh or smile along the way. That's it. That's my purpose in life. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It doesn't have to be bigger than that. You will have your own, and your perception of light is going to be a part of what drives you, a part of what creates that, a part of what manifests that. And whether or not you, you choose to, manifest your light in a very public way, or whether you choose to manifest your light, in a nice little private way, and, you don't have to involve anybody else in it. This is your light. You do with it what you want. And whatever it is, figure out what it is to you. You may, have somebody who is like, oh, well, you want to be light side. This is what you do. And, it's sort of like the light and dark side of the force, because, it's like, okay, it's like, oh, well, there's the dark side of the force and the light side of the force. It's not that simple. Because, if you really look at Star Wars, there were some places where the Jedi could have made some better choices. But when you get stuck, and actually that's a great example of getting stuck in what you believe is the way, as opposed to understanding that it is a way. And many rivers lead to the same ocean, and many paths lead to the top of the mountain. And you have every right to your light and your expression of that light. And that means that everybody else has a right to their expression of that light and how they manifest it. You don't want somebody coming and telling you that your light, how you express your light, is wrong or whatever. And, we need to respect other people's aspect of that, even if it's something we disagree with. Now, if it's, something where basically it's like, oh yes, this person is talking about, being in a place of light, and they're actually like way shadow. And I have had cases where people, they talk about, oh yes, and I'm such a creature of light and all this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, well, good for you. And they are in such denial of their own shadow that it grew strong. And in my mind, in my opinion, the strongest shadow is the shadow that is either ignored or denied. I know my shadow. I interact with it. It is right there saying, all right, let's do this. And I'm like, no, we're going to do that. So the idea that, but I do understand that my shadow's there. It's got a job. It's there to teach me how to choose better. It's there to be that constant test for me as to, okay, I've got more than one choice here. I'm going to choose harmony, I'm going to choose peace and compassion as I see it and as I experience it. So when you're in that situation of somebody else saying, well, no, this is light and anything else is shadow, well, you need to figure that out for yourself. You need to find your own way and your own path, because your light is unique to you, and yet when all these people are connecting with their light sides, with that part that goes towards harmony, with that part that lends toward compassion, that goes towards balance, okay, gossiping, you can say you're as light side as you want, but if you're talking trash about somebody behind their back and all that stuff, that is not light. You can justify it all you want, and that is a shadow aspect. Is it human? Yes. It is absolutely human. It is, it's a part of what we do. And even sometimes when you're doing it, it's like, wow, you know what? Maybe not so much. I mean, it's like, you go to church and everybody's all fine and wonderful inside, and then outside people are yelling in the parking lot because somebody's blocking somebody's car. Yeah, it's light and shadow are both integral parts of us. It's about what we choose. And if you're going to choose light, figure out what is your light. What is your way? What is your expression? What makes sense to you? What means harmony to you? What means balance to you? What means, resonance, when all the voices kind of harmoniously blend in together, as opposed to, you've got a flute and a snare drum right next to each other trying to bang it out to see who's louder. We can feel harmony. We know what that feels like. We also know what dissonance feels like. We know what it feels like when something isn't right, when the energy's not right. You could walk into a room right after somebody had an argument, and even though you don't hear anything being said, there's a feel in the room like, something very unpleasant went on in here. So finding what it is that is your center and your philosophy or your motto or your creed or whatever, however you want to put it. But once you find it, once you find that connection, once you find that place, whatever belief system it's based on, you embrace it and you follow it and you stay in integrity with it. Light, honestly, is way more work than shadow, which is probably why a lot of people have a tendency to lean shadow, just because it's easier. That becomes the reflex. That becomes the primal response. Choice means that you have that primal instinct come in, that fight, flight, or freeze, and you choose the fourth option. You don't do any of those. You come from a place of choice. You come from a place of, I'm looking at this, I'm processing it, I'm taking a breath, and now I am going to choose what I believe is the most harmonious and positive, action that I can take in this moment. I'm not going to react. I'm going to choose action, and I'm going to choose it from a place of balance. So, it is work. But the thing is, it's wonderful work. It is work that is going to help you to grow as a person. It is the work that, other people will notice. It's like, wow, that person, they stay really balanced, or they're really in integrity. They walk their talk. That's where the walking of the talk comes in. Because you either walk your talk or you talk your walk. And when you are really in that place of being in integrity with what you believe, you don't have to, and the people who are really in that place settled with it don't have to convince other people. They don't go out of their way to try to talk someone into believing that their particular path of light is, for everyone. They allow their path to speak for itself. You don't have to speak for your work when your work speaks for itself, when your way speaks for itself. And people come up and say, wow, you're just really grounded and really centered. How do you do that? And that's when it's like, well, for me, this is how I carry it. This is how I walk my walk. And maybe they agree with it. Maybe they want to learn more about it. And maybe they want to use that and incorporate that into their walk. But it's their walk. I don't, I have a lot of people who come who I counsel with. There's a lot of people who, I teach, they're my students. And ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just there to help my students choose their own path. Even if it's not my path, because they don't need to choose my path. I don't want them to choose my path just because it's mine. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it's perfect for them. So the whole point is for them to learn to choose their path that's right for them. What is their light path? Once they choose it, how to stay in integrity with it. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be without faults or a few stumbles and, man, I really shouldn't have said that. I feel kind of bad. Well, then do something to make up for it. But your light, once you find it, once you identify it, then it becomes the study of the rest of your life. Because with every experience you have, you're going to find a deeper and deeper meaning to what it is to choose your light path. And you will always have that choice of light versus shadow. And frankly, I thank Creator for that. For me, I am so grateful for the ability to have that choice, because it allows me to grow. It allows me to step up in what I want to do and who I am. So find your path, find your way, find your light. Whether it's through your faith, whether it's through a philosophy, it doesn't matter. The more balanced you are in your light, the more people with similar light. And it's not going to be exactly the same, but it is like an orchestra when all the instruments are tuned correctly and placed correctly. Because, you have to place the instruments in a way where the sound comes out harmonious. We will never all have the same path. We will never all resonate light in the same way. But we can form a beautiful orchestra that will bring out a symphony of light. It's like a prism and all the different colors that come out. We don't have to be the same. We don't have to all agree on what is light, as long as we can agree that we can be respectful of one another and that we can play nice. So consider that. Consider your path and your light. And once you figure it out, then study it and meditate on it and move forward through it and use that in your decision making. Take a moment, take a breath, and then look at what it is that you want to put out into the world. Be in integrity with it. And even though it may be a little bit trickier and a lot harder to navigate than just straight shadow, because straight shadow is just reaction. It's, this will make me feel good right now. I really don't care about the results. Lens to chaos? Hey, no problem. That's a lot easier. But I tell you, there is so much more growth and power and grounding and transformation that comes from identifying our light, learning about it, and then each and every time and each and every circumstance making an active choice for it. Like I said, there's no virtue in in ordering a salad when there's nothing but salads at the restaurant. Yeah, go ahead, walk past the dessert table and have some fruit. That you can feel good about. So embrace your light, because your light is unique and it's special and it's needed and the only one exactly like it in all of the universe. So that means that it's important. So thank you. And if you are during the premiere of the episode, that's when I'm in the chat room. After that, you can leave comments, both with Healing House Radio and with YouTube, and I will check the comments and answer them. You can also contact me through Twitter and through the Facebook page, Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen, and both of those are in the description. If you would like to support this channel, please like this video. You can share the video, and please feel free to subscribe. There's a lot of videos that I've done, and this entire year has been dedicated to different levels of learning and different teachings. So, you can go back through them, and then the videos before that are just kind of, different topics. So please feel free to enjoy them, and it's always nice to see the community grow. If you'd like me to support me at a greater level, in the description there is a link to my Patreon account, and there are perks at different levels for different levels of support, and basically it's a pledge of a monthly support that could be as low as $2 a month. So thank you for joining me, and next week, which is very interesting because next Tuesday or next Thursday will be my birthday. So I'm trying to think of what it is we want to talk about regarding birthdays. So anyway, I wish you all a wonderful day, and as always, I wish you balance, and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you, and class dismissed.